Hi, everyone. It's Tuesday, January 5th, and I'm here today to go over a few things regarding geometry. Yesterday, we started talking about two-dimensional shapes, like a circle, square, triangle, rectangle, and so on. Just a review of what two-dimensional means. Two-dimensional means that a shape has a length and a width. Today, we're going to talk about what we call three-dimensional shapes. Three-dimensional shapes have a length, a width, and a height. So they take up space. Sometimes they're referred to as space objects because they're not flat. And today I've got a website that's going to kind of help me show you what different three-dimensional shapes are. And then you're going to do a guided practice where you're going to see if you can find some of the shapes that we talk about. So I'm going to start with a three-dimensional shape that we've all seen, and it's called, let me put in the dimensions. Let's see. Okay, so this is what we call a rectangular prism, and it's kind of like a box. Think of like a cardboard box. Okay, a rectangular prism has this is the length. Of course, it's the longest side, the width, and then how tall it is or the height. So this is referred to as a rectangular prism. If you notice, I can drag it around. I can show you all sides. It's kind of clear. Also, it's see-through so that you can kind of see all of the different sides that make up this shape. Okay. When we talk about three-dimensional shapes, they have what are called faces, which are the flat part that make up each side. They also have edges, which would be like the black lines that you see here, the edge of each side. And then where the edges meet, those are called the vertices. Vertices is plural. If we're talking about one, it's called a vertex. So think of it as like the point where those edges come together. So this rectangular prism has six faces. If you count the top and the bottom, the two sides, and then the ends, that's six. It has one, two, three, four edges on the top. One, two, three, four edges on the bottom. And then we have to count the vertical edges. So that's 8 we have so far. 9, 10, 11, 12. So this rectangular prism has 12 edges. And when we count the vertices, we're going to count where the edges come together. So 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices on the top, one back here, 2, 3, 4 vertices on the bottom. That makes 8. So that's kind of a little example. We're going to be going over this a lot more to kind of give you an understanding of what a face, a vertex or vertices are in the edges. So I'm going to change some of the dimensions. And the next shape that we're going to talk about, if I can get it to reset here. Oops. Is kind of like a rectangular prism. I'll move it out just a little bit. Although in this shape, all of the dimensions are the same. The length, the width, and the height are all the same. They're all 5. That's what I set it to. So this is no longer a rectangular prism. This is what we call a cube. Think of like when you play with dice in a game, that those are cubes. So again, the difference is it's very much the same, but each dimension, it's very much the same as a rectangular prism, but each dimension is the same. And so it's kind of like another cardboard box, or like I said, a dice. The dice that you play with are all examples of cubes. So I'm going to close that out. And the next thing we're going to talk about is, let's see, we'll change some of these dimensions. Yes. Okay, this is like, well, I won't tell you what it's like. We'll see if you can figure it out. So this is another three-dimensional shape. As I rotate it around, you can see that it has circular bases. The base is the flat part that it sits on, and a round side. This is what we call a cylinder. Think of a can that you might have in your kitchen at home, like a can of soup or fruit or something like that, canned vegetable. This is a cylinder, and the bases are flat, and it has a circular side. So there are no edges and there are no vertices. It does have two faces, the top and the bottom, because that's where the cylinder sits. So that's an example of a cylinder. Okay, the next shape we're going to talk about is, let's see, we're going to change it to this shape right here. Whoops. Okay, we still have a circular base, as you can see, and there are no sides really. It kind of comes to a point at the top. This is what we call a cone. A cone is another three-dimensional shape. Think about an ice cream cone. If I were to turn this around, I don't know if I can get it all the way around. Maybe I can. Like that, I guess. It kind of resembles an ice cream cone, and that's what we call, it's just called a cone in geometry. If I change the shape of the base, then I have a different shape. And you can see now the base, let me drag this up just a little bit. The base is a rectangular shape, still comes to a point. This is what we call a pyramid. A pyramid does have flat faces. See if you can figure out how many. Make sure you also count the bottom. It has edges and it has vertices. So we'll talk more tomorrow and through the week about how many those are. See if you can figure that out as we go. But this is called a pyramid. And I'll give you a hint. When you count the vertices, make sure you count the top point and then all of the points where those edges come together. So, very good. All right, we're almost finished. I'm going to change one last three-dimensional shape. It will come up here. Good. And this is kind of hard to rotate. This is round, and it's called a sphere. A sphere is different from a circle because a sphere takes up space. Think of a sphere as like a ball that you play with. It's not a flat circle that you can draw on a piece of paper, that you can hold a sphere in your hand. So a recess ball, a basketball, a baseball, any of those is an example of a sphere. It has no faces, no edges, and no vertices because there are no flat areas or surfaces on this sphere. So that's an example of that. I think that does it for all of the different shapes that we were going to talk about today. And after watching this video, you're going to do a guided practice. If you need to go back and refer to this video, please do so. But your guided practice today, again, involves you to find different shapes around your home that resemble these three-dimensional shapes that we talked about today.